Okay, guys, this is part 2 video of the test review for Unit 5. If you have a table, you can of course put it into Desmos. Another easy way to do it, if you see 0 in the x column, you have actually found your y-intercept. Our y-intercept is 5, and that would go first when you're doing an equation. So just drag it and drop it. To find your rate, remember we take y2 and divide it by y1. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. It is multiplying by 3 every time. That is our rate. It's growing, right? It's getting bigger by a rate of 3. All right, let's look at 12. In number 12, you're asked to write an equation. Just remember that the a value in these equations isn't just the y-intercept, it's how much you start with, your initial value, your initial amount. So in this case, we initially started with 8 grams. So this should be 8. We didn't start with 80 grams or 60 grams. We started with 8 grams. And then our rate goes in there. It says we decayed by 60%. So that means we take 100% minus 60%, and we get 40%. Now, what is that as a decimal? Don't put in 40. It's not correct. You got to move the decimal 2 places over. So it's actually 0.40. Okay? When you say decay by 60%, it doesn't mean that it's 60%. It means you have to take away 60%, subtract 60%, which is what I did. And I got 40% as a decimal is 0.40. In this one, it's the same process. How many did you start with? We started with this much metric tons of copper. So 398,000 goes here, however much you started with. And it says we're increasing by this much. So we're taking 100% plus 4.75%, and we get 104.75%. And just like I showed you before, you have to move your decimal 2 places to the left. So it's actually 1.0475. Okay? You don't need this, guys, at all, the 1900. It's just the year. It has nothing to do with the numbers you need. This is clearly a decay because it's less than 1. Just remember, you always have to add your percentage on to 100 or subtract it from 100. In this one, guys, personally, I would use Desmos. I would create a table of all of those values. 0, 22, 1, 17.6. I would literally make a table of all of them and put them into Desmos. But remember, guys, there's actually a way easier way to get this one correct. The y-intercept. The y-intercept is the very first thing that you put in your equation. Our y-intercept is 22. Guess what? The only one that has a y-intercept of 22 is B. It's literally the only one. 22 is an answer choice A, but it's in the wrong spot. These two need to switch places. Remember, the first thing that goes in your equation is the y-intercept. Okay, once again, guys, you could type in your answer choices into Desmos. Type in those equations and see which one matches this graph. First of all, the y-intercept is 6. Okay, right there at 6. So if there's a minus or a like this between it, that is not an exponential function. If you look at it, there should not be a plus or a minus between the A or the B. So these are definitely wrong. Why is there a minus there? It makes no sense. And then you can see here 1/3 is a decay and 3 means growth. Ours is clearly decreasing from left to right. This is a decay, so it should be A. Use that process of elimination, guys. Number 16. There are 2 correct answers. It tells us in the problem. The first number, remember, is the y-intercept or the initial amount. It's how much you started with. We initially started with $450. And then this is growth. We're growing by 5%. Remember, the 1 is what you initially start with. We started with 100%. And it looks like it's a growth because we can see that it is bigger than 1, okay? So this is definitely out. This is definitely out. It does not increase by 105%, guys. We started with 100. We ended up with 105%, but when you move the decimal over 2 places, that's how you get this. It actually was an increase of 5%. Okay. All right, so C and E are the correct answers. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and look at 17. In this one, I hope that we're remembering what the A and the B stand for again. The very first number, once again, is what you started with. We started with $500 in our savings account. Okay? And this is clearly bigger than 1, so it is growth, and it says the word increasing, and it's increasing by 5.3%. Because if you move that decimal over 2 places, 1, 2, we get 105.3%. Take away the 100% and we get 5.3. We had increased by 5.3%. Remember, we always start with 100%. And so it was 5.3% bigger. Okay. Let's go and look at 18. The asymptote is always the same. It is always the same. It does not change. It is always y equals 0. Always. Memorize it. You'll need it for the test. Number 19. I would honestly use the Desmos graphing calculator to see what the correct answer is on this one, because we don't know what this graph looks like. So let's type it in. P of x is equal to -7 parentheses 4 shift 6 to get an exponent. And look at our graph. It's all below 0. So our y's are all negative this time because our graph is flipped below the x-axis. So when we look at our domain and our range or y's, I'm going to draw a quick sketch of it. It looked something like this. The y's are all negative, right? So our range or y's are all less than 0. They're never going to be 0 because remember, it never touches the x-axis. So all else fails, guys, you can graph any equation in the Desmos. And last one, here we go. They initially started with 48,000. So this one and this one are our potential candidates. These ones are definitely wrong. We started with 48,000 people, not 50,400. But you can also make a table and put it into Desmos once again. So we started with 48,000, so 0 time has passed, but after 1 year, there is this many people. And remember, to find the rate, you take the second y value, which is 50,400, and divide it by the first y value to get your rate, the b value. But we don't have to reduce it because look, it's already in there like that. Wonderful. A is the correct answer. Good luck on your test tomorrow, guys. Really study, watch, and listen to these explanations over and over. Use that Desmos calculator. Have a good night, guys.